was choosing the goddess Artemis, and that is because as I was healing from the trauma, I realized I had kind of a dissociative part, that Dennis will remember, of me, which was Artemis, and Artemis disliked body. His body took all the crap, and Artemis was above all of that. And then my grandmother, who was Artemis, also told me, and I knew that she would do things to get me out of the way that fit in with her culture, which was very old and traditional from another country. And she was always my support, my silent support, but my support. And when I told her, she said, well, I knew that he was doing something, but I didn't know it was that. And so as I started doing my artwork, botanical pounding and writing and photography, I chose to be Aleka Artemis, to be reborn in another way, I guess, to use those, both sides of me. And so going back to the reference of body, I'm going to read something for you. Childhood traumatic stress increased the likelihood of hospitalization with a diagnosed autoimmune disease decades into adulthood. These findings are consistent with recent biological studies on the impact of early life stress and subsequent inflammatory responses. This was a study done by 5 people, I think. Cumulative childhood stress and autoimmune diseases in adults, Psychosome Medical Journal. And I have 7 autoimmune diseases, and it's a constant battle. And that's why I carry grace. My grace is my bow. And I felt like that for me, it's not the childhood trauma that I'm working on now. I worked on that. It's surviving and trying to thrive and finding my life day by day with this man at my side. Through the diseases that come at me, and knowing that it's never going to be gone, just like what happened to my psyche isn't gone. That doesn't affect me every day, but the physical part does. And my doctors at Mass General, he agreed that the stress from what happened and any other stress for me is bad because it triggers more autoimmune issues. I think that's a really important thing to share with people.
It's been a long road. I joined the Navy when I was basically right out of high school. We did the delayed entry program. Once we got in, we had shared trauma as well from our childhood that we didn't really address. And when I got into the Navy, that also was brought with me to that present reality that was existing. And I just really wanted to make everybody in my family really proud, because I do come from a very good family. So I did do the Navy, but I didn't have the internal boundaries to navigate safely. I didn't have that. So I was like, when people told me to do things, I listened and I did it. And so when the authority told me to do things, I listened and I did it. And I felt like I had to. I didn't feel like a choice at all for me. With therapy, with a lot of reflecting, with the help of my spirit team, my friends. Eventually, I was able to look back with kindness on what happened, and I had a different vision. And I could see that when people are hurting, they hurt each other. And so it was a kind of a no-brainer to me that the probably offender, probably had some things in their history that caused them to think that they could have that authority that they didn't actually have over me, but they thought that they did, and I thought that if they thought that they did, then that's true. No, it wasn't true, it was untrue. So I have forgiveness in my heart for that person that did that, that's for sure. That forgiveness is fully reciprocated, but it was really hard to get there. It wasn't easy. Actually really the only thing that was easy was, I feel like, you mentioned a golden thread in yours, like that lifeline. I feel like having a lifeline, just knowing that but you have to be able to find it again. You have to know how to find it. So it's like kind of going back into the internal temple and seeing where those boundaries are of safety and emotional needs, and are those getting met? Are those really getting met? Or do you have authority? Do you have sovereignty in your own reality? Or are you just doing what everybody else is telling you to do because you think that you have to? And if we're doing that, then we are probably being manipulated. And it was really a hard lesson for me to learn. And it's still being learned and integrated. And we're just going slow now. And, we have that disability a little bit, but we're still strong. So thank you, Danielle, for helping me close out this and transmute it fully to the light, because it's being seen and it's being healed, and we're all at the table together, truly, soulfully, and I thank you for doing this, helping me. And then also giving me a community to step into.